Hello everyone and welcome. I'm here to do a quick video on what the Rift Beta 2.0 looks like and what the biggest ups and downs of this new system are, and I'll also leave some feedback in the end on things that I think need to be addressed. So how does the new Rift system work? First, you go up and select 1 out of 3 opponents. You can refresh those opponents every 2 hours, by the way, for free. You can see the opponent's boss before entering the rift, so you can select whichever one you think is the easiest, maybe. Once you select the opponent, there are 5 nodes, 1 trio node with 3 catalysts and 3 fighters, 2 duo nodes with 2 catalysts and 2 fighters, and 2 solo nodes with 1 catalyst and 1 fighter. You have to beat every single node on the first try, and you can only use a fighter once. Not twice like in the current version, you can only use him once now. The score you get does matter if your opponent tries to take revenge on you, which I'll get to in a second. But if you win, you will start your streak and get a bonus modifier only on your side. It also boosts the amount of Rift coin you get from playing Rift. Also, if you win by successfully navigating through all of his nodes, the enemy will get a message in his history saying that you won against his base. He then can opt to take revenge on your base if he wants to. This is where the score you got on his base will start to matter. If you did really good and got a high score, it's likely that he won't take revenge. But if you did poorly and just barely got through, he has a good shot at revenge and will probably take it. If you lose at any point during the Rift match, your streak will be set to 0 and your opponent will get the points and see that you lost in his history. Okay, that's the basics of it. Now that we know how a match works, what are the biggest ups and downs compared to the live version of Rift? First up, Rifts are now timeless. That is probably one of the biggest changes, especially for people that are not happy with the current version of Rift and don't really like it. It feels a lot less stressful, and you can easily just play one fight at a time. You know, you don't have to commit 2 hours on your Rift to just go through it. It's very easy and a lot less stressful. It helps a lot, I think. Second up are the seasonal modifier changes, which is something I've wanted for a very long time. They are great at keeping things less stale and just, mixing it up a bit. However, I do think that the modifiers should be kept random and not just have like a fixed pattern. So right now at day 3, we've seen element-specific boss node modifiers that you can only take advantage of if you're the correct element. Which, on one hand, I think is a really cool idea. And it makes a lot more fighters viable for the boss. But if it's always an elemental boss, it will be way too stale. You need to be able to put in whatever you want disregarding the elements. Make it swap to non-restrictions every couple weeks, I think, would be the best way to go about this. Now on to the revenge mechanic. The revenge mechanic is a great motivator to get high scores. The revenge mechanic will also keep Rifts competitive, as in you can always take revenge against someone that beat your base if you think you are better and you can do better than them. It does, however, mean that if you win at first by defeating every node against the opponent, he can get back at you and steal those points away again. And then there are the small Rift bases compared to the live version. We now have only 5 nodes instead of the 10 we used to have. And you only need 9 defenders instead of 20 now. And that's a huge change. It means a lot less focus on collection strength. And I think it's gonna be a lot more interesting for newer players that don't have a huge collection right now. But I do also think that it does make the rest of the game less motivating for players to train new diamonds, because they already have all of the ones that they need, basically. Alright, now on to things that I think need to be addressed and cleared up real quick. So, movesets on your fighters have always been an issue of don't know whether there were 5 moves on your defender or whatnot, because some fighters are like a defense and offense mix. You can use them for defense but then swap around the movesets for offense. and I think that needs to be addressed now. It's definitely time. It's been way too long and a long time coming. We need this change now. I think it should be that when you set your defense, all the moves on your fighters will stay when you select confirm in the end. That way you can move them around without really thinking about it and being afraid of having no moves on your defenders when you go into the offense. Because if you don't have any moves on your defenders, your base is basically naked and anyone can go through it. It's really easy to go through fighters without moves. It's just a huge deal for the top players, I would say, at least. Alright, now into the suggestions. So, as I just said, the Rift bases are a lot smaller, and I think that is good, but it's also bad. Let me explain. So it's good for newer players that don't have a big collection, but it's not so good at keeping players motivated to do new diamonds and whatnot. So I think the Rift base sizes should increase as you progress through the ranks. Rookie to silver, let's say the base size is 5. Then when you get into the gold rank, the Rift base will increase to, let's say, 7 nodes. And when you get to diamond, you will have 10 nodes. Something like that. Alright, next up would be the seasonal changes for the modifiers. Do not always have an elemental boss. Sometimes, sure, it's a good idea. It does make other defenders viable that aren't usually that great for the boss. Let's say the GI Jazz is now suddenly viable because he's a good LR defender. But before that, I would maybe only use him in a solo node. So sometimes it's definitely good to have an elemental boss, but if it's always, that means you can't have a mixed boss, basically. You can't have a character boss, like you can't have a Cerebella boss because there aren't 3 of the same element or something like that. And that way it's way too restricting, I think. Anyway, I think that is all for now. I'm enjoying it so far. All in all, it's a lot less stressful. I'm doing a lot of fights. And yeah, I'm having fun with it, but there are some small things that I would like to see changed, which I mentioned before earlier. But yeah, I think it's on a good way, and yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day. See you all later. Bye bye.